Good morning. Welcome to our service this morning. I am Barbara Martin, the chair of the Standing Committee, our elected leadership team here at First Church Boston. And I welcome all who are with us on YouTube and also those of us gathered here together in our air-conditioned Hale Chapel at the church in Boston's Back Bay. I particularly want to welcome any visitors, anyone who would like to know more about First Church Boston. You can go online to firstchurchboston.org or speak to me or really any member in our coffee hour following the service. And we'll be out on the porch with lemonade and iced tea. I have just one announcement, and really it's a sort of preview of an announcement that will be in next week's e-news. Last summer, we had a couple of occasions when we shared some of Boston's summer cultural events. Some of us went to one of the concerts on the Esplanade together, and I think there may have been one other. And I wanted to put forward that same pattern this morning and encourage people to think of or suggest events, and to say that I will be going to the Jazz on the Green concert on Saturday, July 13th. At UU Urban Ministry. Some of you know UU Urban Ministry is one of our partner organizations. They are housed in the landmark First Church in Roxbury near Nubian Square, and they have a beautiful green space on which they host monthly outdoor jazz concerts in the summer. So this is a free, informal, come for as long as you want concert from 1 to 4 p.m. on Saturday, July 13th. And a couple of us are also going to be taking one of their tours of the neighborhood in the morning for anybody who wants to, might try that out or make a day of it. So there will be details in next week's e-news. On the 4th of July weekend, after the fireworks have gone off, you can look at the e-news on Friday and get more details or talk to me. And I hope if any of the rest of you have an urge to attend a summer event, to go to Shakespeare on the Common, whatever, that you might think of putting a notice in the e-news and inviting others to join you. I am very happy to welcome this morning our guest minister, the Reverend Laura Randall, who is the Director for Congregation Relations at the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. And in that role, she facilitates partnerships to strengthen the impact of the UUSC and the social justice reach of congregations. So I know we look forward to hearing from her. Let our service now begin.
Our opening words this morning are from the Reverend Sarah Lawal. Out of the flames of fear, we rise with the courage of our deepest convictions to stand for justice, inclusion, and peace. Out of the flames of scrutiny, we rise to proclaim our faith with hope to heal a fractured and hurting world. Out of the flames of doubt, we rise to embrace the mystery, wonder, and awe of all there is and all there is yet to be. Out of the flames of hate, we rise with the force of love that celebrates our shared humanity. Out of the flames, we rise. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit as we say together our First Church Boston affirmation, and Barbara's going to light our chalice. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. I invite you to greet your neighbor. Good morning, all. Let's sing together, friends. We're going to sing hymn number 108, My Life Flows On, an Endless Song.
Please join me in responsive reading number 648. I will read the Roman type and ask you to join me in the italics, but I'll keep going so that the broadcast will have all of the words. Beginners by Denise Levertov. But we have only begun to love the earth. We have only begun to imagine the fullness of life. How could we tire of hope? So much is in bud. How can desire fail? We have only begun to imagine justice and mercy, only begun to envision how it might be to live as siblings with beast and flower, not as oppressors. Surely our river cannot already be hastening into the sea of non-being. Surely it cannot drag in the silt all that is innocent. Not yet, not yet. There is too much broken that must be mended, too much hurt that we have done to each other that cannot yet be forgiven. We have only begun to know the power that is in us if we would join our solitudes in the communion of struggle. So much is unfolding that must complete its gesture. So much is in bud.
Sing the songs of
We come now to the moment in the service for sharing with our community joys and concerns that may be in your heart on this Sunday, in this month, at this moment. If you have one, come forward, give your name, and then take a stone to drop into the water as you share your joy or concern with us. All right. Rosemary.
Thank you, Barbara. This is a joy. I attended a GBIO meeting on Thursday evening. There were about 60 people at the meeting from the 60 or so organizations that GBIO works with. And there was an acknowledgement that we are unlikely to achieve the real estate transfer fee this year. That was one of our major planks in terms of getting a bigger pot of money to draw on for affordable housing. But it was so interesting to hear how our leaders at GBIO talk about that, which is that they will be reaching out to the Greater Boston Real Estate Board, since having relationships with people is the key mechanism in organizing and working in GBIO. So there has been a lot achieved. The end of the session isn't until the end of July, so it's possible a miracle could happen before then. But we have accomplished a lot, especially in funding for public housing, which was something that wasn't on the table before GBIO got involved in that. So just to say that all of your calls and emails have done a lot, and there is more work to do.
Gita, I think you have something to share.
Thank you, Barbara. I'm Gita, and it's actually neither a joy nor a concern. It's somewhere in between. At the last sharing of joy and concern, I think Grace spoke about the Unitarian, the UU Urban Ministry in Roxbury. So I reached out to them, and they directed me. One of my concerns is, the unhoused crisis, but it is being in big part driven by eviction policies, and so they connected me with an organization called City Life, which is in Jamaica Plain, Vida Urbana, and they've been around for 50 years, and they do tenant advocacy. So I went to their first meeting, at my first meeting. It's Tuesdays, 6:30 to 8:30 in JP, and I'm planning to volunteer with them. And if you're concerned about eviction and the city of Boston and property managers, landlords, all of that, I'm happy to connect you or to pass on information. So,
thank you.
Thank you. Hi, as you may know, I'm David Reno, and I recently got a new knee. I don't know what went wrong. I only had the other one for 75 years, and it wore out on me. Nonetheless, I have said, more or less in jest, that if you're going to get sick, this is the city to get sick in. For anybody who needs anything orthopedics, let me highly recommend Boston Baptist, New England Baptist Hospital. They are superb with orthopedics, and I would also like to thank the church, who as a body has come and helped us with shopping, banking, haircuts, etc., and cleaning up our apartment. We, Anna and I, are, I assume you know the show The Odd Couple. Well, we are two Oscar Madisons, and we need a Felix Unger now and then. So I thank you very much from all of the people here. A church is not just a building, but the people inside it, which is perhaps even more important, since once upon a time, when I first came here in the Nixon era, you didn't have a church. You just had a burned out wreck that looked like Berlin in 1945. So I thank you for all of them, and here's my stone.
If there is, I don't see anyone else, so if there is no one else, I will place one more stone for the joys and concerns that we all carry unspoken in our hearts.
Friends, I invite you now into a spirit of prayer and reflection. Today we hold in our hearts the many victims of state violence, persecution, and houselessness the world over. We hold all those in the Middle East living in fear, and the people of Gaza facing bombardment and starvation in this moment. We hold the Rohingya people of Burma, long targets of genocide by the Burmese military. We hold the people of Ukraine, continuing their battle against the Russian invasion. We hold our trans and gender expansive beloveds here in the United States who are being forced to flee their homes as ever-increasing repressive laws make it unsafe to remain in some states. We hold all of those, known and unknown to us, suffering today, all those yearning for liberation. In this moment of tension, strife, and grief, we lift up a love that is at the center of our faith. A love that embraces each and every person. A love that touches all of creation. A love that calls us on toward another possible world, even in the bleakest of times. In this spirit, I offer these words by the Reverend Drew Patton. If they ever ask you, which side are you on? Tell them plainly, I side with the people, with the precious ones, all, the integral, the soft and the fierce, irreplaceable, the beloved, if only by God and trees, who were born, who breathe and survive. Say I side with those who keep watch beneath the bright screaming arc of bombs, with those who hide in dark doorways, or those who through the moonlight flee, with those who stay and fight, with those who are kept up all night by hunger and grief and terror and rage, by desperate, unruly hope, who are good and green at the root, who are more than the worst thing they've ever done, who do their best to love and still pass on the hurt in themselves that they hate. But what when they take sides against each other, the people, even against themselves? Side with whatever is human in them, what is fragile and feeling and flesh. Side with the truth of our stories. Side with the fact of our pain. Side with defiant insistence on freedom. Side there again and again. Side there today and tomorrow. Side there the rest of your life. Side there together until we belong, each one to every other. If they ever ask you, which side are you on? Say, it doesn't work like that. Tell them you side with the people and abide where the people are at. Let us be held together in a moment of silence. Blessed be, and amen. Friends, generosity is a central value for Unitarian Universalists. We know that we all survive and thrive when we share what we have with our communities. We will now collect the offering for the life of this congregation.
So just a few words this morning about this morning's offertory. Rose Thane Powell, a very prominent composer, currently living, often finds great inspiration in the works of her heritage, her African-American heritage. This particular song comes from a cycle which is entitled Miss Wheatley's Garden. It's 3 texts by African-American poets, all 3 of them having been born in the 19th century. The title honors Phyllis Wheatley, who was a slave born around 1753, 1755. She lived in Boston, was a slave in Boston. She was educated by the family and became the very first African-American published poet. So it was so we're honoring that legacy here in the end. The first song in the cycle is by Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, who was born free in Baltimore, Maryland in 1825. So the text for this is Songs for the People.
Let me make the songs for the people, songs for the old and young, songs to
Please be seated. I'd like to share a poem with you written by the Reverend Julian Jamaica Soto called "To the People Who Have Mistaken Freedom for Liberation." To be free, you must embrace the breadth of your own existence without apology, even if they try to take it from you. You must know not that you can do whatever you want. You are not a kudzu vine eating entire hillsides for the purpose of feeding your own lush life. You must know instead that inside you are entire universes, milky blue, magenta, and gold, expanding. But to be actually free, you must know and you must fight for the entire universes inside of everyone else. Being free is not a license, but a promise. I invite you to rise once more in body or in spirit. We're going to sing hymn number 155 in the gray hymnal, Circle Round for Freedom. I know this might be a new hymn for some of you, so Bob is going to play the melody through for us, and we're going to sing it twice through. It's super easy. You're going to love it.
So the melody is the middle line. So as you're looking at the music, if you're reading music, it's the second line down in each of the stanzas.
Beautiful. It's such a joy to be with you this morning, First Church of Boston friends. As a staff member of UUSC, that's the UU Service Committee, one of my great privileges is traveling to UU congregations to thank UUSC members in person. So to the First Church of Boston members who are also members of UUSC through your financial support, thank you. We truly could not do our mission of advancing human rights and resisting oppressive systems without you. And for those of you who are not yet members or who have not made a gift in a long time, I hope you will consider renewing your support today. A gift of any amount makes you a member. So I looked up in our database, and 6 members of First Church Boston are also members of UUSC, and we are so grateful to these 6 folks. And I bet we could get that number up. So if you'd like to make a gift today, you're welcome to see me after the service. I have envelopes and information, or visit uusc.org. UUSC was known as its founding in 1940 as the Unitarian Service Committee. We've always depended on the generosity and vision of UU congregations. And in a very tangible way, the values of the UU Service Committee are at the center of our congregations. Let me explain. We are a vibrant and living faith. One of the things that brings together this beautiful motley crew of people, we're drawn together not because we all believe the same things, but because we all long for a world in which everyone belongs, everyone is free to live lives of peace and contentment. We share a commitment to always be learning about and celebrating the incredible diversity of the human family. More than 100 years ago, Louis Fisher, who was dean of the Rider Divinity School in Chicago, famously said, "Universalists are often asked to tell where they stand. The only true answer to give to this question is that we do not stand at all, we move." If you're traveling around the country visiting UU congregations, as I have the privilege of doing, you will notice that each congregation is unique. The elements of the service, the configuration of the sanctuary, the special vibe of the community, all different everywhere you go. However, there's one thing that solidly connects all UUs. In every single congregation, there is a chalice. And that chalice is lit at the beginning of worship. It is the chalice itself, the very thing that binds all Unitarian Universalists together, that most strongly calls us to the work of resisting oppressive systems such as racism, sexism, and fascism, promoting human rights for all people, and caring for the precious earth we share. Our chalice, as sacred as it is to us, wasn't always the symbol of the Unitarian and Universalist faiths. In 1940, Reverend Dr. Charles Ryn Joy was sent by the newly created Unitarian Service Committee to Lisbon, Portugal, which was one of the only open ports in Europe at the time, and therefore was seeing many refugees fleeing the Nazi regime come through there. Many of these refugees had to flee without any of the identification papers that were required to cross borders. So Joy decided to start making identification papers issued by the USC itself. This was uncharted water, but instead of focusing on the risks that he and the organization might be taking by doing this, Joy focused on saving the lives of those fleeing fascism. He also decided that these papers needed a seal to look as official as possible. So he asked the artist Hans Dusch, who was an Austrian refugee and artist working in Lisbon at the time, to create one. And the result was the basis of the flaming chalice as we now know it. While this was happening, Waite Still and Martha Sharp were also sent to Europe by the Unitarian Service Committee. They not only falsified documents to get people out, but also laundered money if necessary. So you see, the thing that binds all of us UUs together, the chalice, was founded on our commitment to human rights and fighting fascism. Since the founding of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, we have been committed to supporting the work of liberation, even when, maybe especially when, it involves making some holy trouble for the powers that would deny anyone their full humanity. In the poem that I read by Reverend Julian Jamaica Soto, Reverend Soto tells us that liberation is the kind of freedom that celebrates the utterly unique and precious life embodied in you and honors the utterly unique and precious life that is embodied in each and every other person. To be actually free, Reverend Soder writes, you must know and you must fight for the entire universes inside of everyone else. Being free is not a license, but a promise. It is this promise that I want to talk about today, because this promise of liberation is being threatened in so many parts of the world by the menace of fascism. In the 2023 Berry Street essay, Reverend Cecilia Kingman describes the 10 tactics of fascism from the work of Jason Stanley, including targeting of already vulnerable populations, such as migrants, queer and trans people, and disabled people, as part of creating an enemy, which an authoritarian leader can then target and punish. We often say that we're living in difficult times, so let's dive a little deeper into this question. What times are we in right now? Those familiar with the tactics of fascism, things that include things like the glorification of a mythic past, the reliance on unfounded fear to institute restrictive law and order, and the supremacy of a strict social hierarchy, can recognize that those forces are hard at work around the world and in the United States. Reverend Kingman frames the answer this way. We all know we are in a moment of grave danger, and if anyone is left wondering how bad it is, it's very, very bad. It's alarmingly easy, however, for us to grow acclimated and numb unless we pay rigorous attention to the strategies and timelines used by fascists. Oof. Take a breath with me. This is hard stuff. So what will our response be? How can we resist these forces? How can we use the power of imagination to imagine action that can also lead to different and better futures? UUSC's grassroots partners are imagining better futures and working for them with all their might in pursuit of liberation. Getting to know the stories of our UUSC partners offers us a chance to extend hospitality in a way we don't often consider. It's an opportunity to open our hearts, to reach beyond ourselves, to marshal our resources, to be free to love and share and together create new possibilities. So let's meet some of these partners, shall we? The Unitarian Universalist Service Committee partners with the Foundation for Justice and the Democratic Rule of Law, or FJED, in Mexico City for the express purpose of supporting human rights and democracy, which includes accompanying individuals, families, and communities who have been impacted by human rights violations. FJED's executive director, Ana Lorena Delegado, says of their mission, we want to combat regional agreements that violate the right of people to migrate, that violate the right of people to request asylum, that violate the rights of migrants to live without violence, that violate the rights of migrants to achieve justice and reparations. To that end, FJED labors extensively to search for disappeared migrants, which includes defending cases and following up on human rights violations. Ana states that in this work, UUSC has felt like a family. We feel less alone, and also we feel strengthened. You, my friends, through your support of UUSC, are part of this family, part of this strength. This family of support extends to our trans and queer beloveds around the world and in the United States. This is a crucial issue for Unitarian Universalists confronting fascism and for all lovers of human rights. UUSC is partnering with trans organizers to help our trans and gender-expansive kin get out of unsafe states and move to safer states. In the United States, trans people now meet the United Nations definitions of internally displaced people, or IDPs. The United Nations Human Rights Office of the High Commissioner makes it plain that gender expression of trans people is part of their human rights with these words: at the root of acts of violence and discrimination, including lack of access to gender recognition by the state and violence in healthcare settings, lies the intent to punish based on preconceived notions of what a victim's gender identity should be, with a binary understanding of what constitutes a male and a female, or the masculine and the feminine. These acts are invariably a manifestation of deeply entrenched stigma and prejudice, irrational hatred, and a form of gender-based violence, driven by an intention to punish those who are seen as defying gender norms. In the United States, 38 states currently have anti-trans legislation on their books, with the number of new bills growing by the day. The ACLU is currently tracking 522 anti-LGBTQI bills that are in process in various state legislatures. Most of them are anti-trans laws. And this isn't just an issue in states like Florida and Texas. 2 of these anti-LGBTQ bills the ACLU is tracking related to what can be taught in schools are right here in Massachusetts. Early last year, an organization led by trans activists approached UUSC and asked if we could help trans folks relocate to safer states. They saw the work UUSC is doing in congregations supporting asylum seekers and wondered if Unitarian Universalists had the kind of networks, infrastructure, and desire to support a different kind of asylum seeker, ones driven from their US-based homes and communities. And of course, we said yes. In this work with trans activists, we are in coalition with other progressive faith organizations, mutual aid groups, and others who are saying, "Nope, I won't let this happen, not on my watch." We are working together to create networks of safety and direct support for trans beloveds and their families who need to relocate, access healthcare across state lines, or stay as safe as possible where they are. We decided to call this endeavor the Pink Haven Coalition. And if you attended General Assembly last week, you may have seen that the Pink Haven Coalition was awarded the UUA's Volunteer Service Award for 2024. UUSC is also acting in solidarity with our trans kin internationally by partnering with QueersFit. Since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, more than 62,000 people have died, nearly 60,000 have been injured, and roughly 14 million have been displaced. What follows is that racism, homophobia, and trans antagonism impact which evacuees receive help in escaping danger. 2 Black non-binary people came together to found QueersFit. Their aim is to assist Black and people of color and LGBTQ people impacted by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. QueersFit provides evacuation, temporary housing, relocation support, along with legal support and physical and mental health resources. QueersFit's co-founder, Anna Maria Tesfaye, says that they are working for a world where there is no homophobia, transphobia, racism, or sexism. About the partnership between QueersFit and UUSC, Anna Maria says, UUSC took a chance on us and recognized the potential of our work. Our partnership with UUSC has been transformative. Our organization is sustainable, allowing us to continue our mission, which is to empower marginalized communities by providing opportunities to voice their concerns and needs. The mission of the National TPS Alliance is much the same. TPS here stands for Temporary Protected Status, which is an immigration status granted to some people who come from countries where they are unable to return safely due to conditions like armed conflict, environmental disaster, or epidemic. The benefits of TPS include protection from being deported or removed from the United States, legal authorization to work, and authorization to travel. All of these things demonstrate the value of human lives, even when these lives are in migration. Reverend Kingman explains that fascist propaganda makes a distinction between friends and enemies. It casts the other as a threat and presents the idea that these others are fundamentally opposed to the nation. We hear many fascists now vilifying migrants and asylum seekers as these others who are a threat to our nation. In this way, the Trump administration moved to radically scale back the TPS program and cancel TPS for hundreds of thousands of immigrants. In some cases, parents who held the suddenly revoked TPS status had to face the devastating choice of leaving their US citizen children behind with friends or relatives, or taking them back with them to a dangerous country their children had never known. The TPS Alliance works to change that by restoring TPS protections and securing a path to permanent residency for all TPS holders. Lydia Palma, national coordinator of the TPS Alliance, says that they are pursuing liberation by building collective power among TPS holders to fight harder to achieve social justice for immigrant populations. Speaking about our partnership, Lydia says, our connection with UUSC has been such an important collaboration for us. Friends, all of UUSC's partners are engaged in powerful acts of resistance to forces that would deny people their full humanity. We at UUSC, and by extension, all of us gathered here, are committed to these acts of resistance as well. Just as our spiritual ancestors were at the founding of UUSC, when the image of the flaming chalice was created to symbolize courage, resilience, defiance, and yes, joy. One aspect of resistance that is sometimes overlooked as frivolous when it is actually crucial is joy. In a society where joy is often commercialized and performative, I invite you to take time to reflect on what actually brings joy into your life. Theologian Frederick Buechner says that you will find your calling where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. As we enter these summer months, may we encounter joy in the beauty and in delight of being of service. May we cultivate joy by embodying our dearest values, a bountiful feast at a beautiful table. Let's close by reflecting on the possibilities offered by Robert F. Kennedy in Prayer for Our Country. He wrote, "Let no one be discouraged by the belief that there is nothing one person can do against the enormous array of the world's ills, misery, ignorance, and violence. Few will have the greatness to bend history, but each of us can work to change a small portion of events. And in the total of all these acts will be written the history of a generation. It is from numberless, diverse acts of courage and belief that human history is shaped. Each time people stand up for an ideal or act to improve the lot of others or strike out against injustice, they send out a tiny ripple of hope, crossing each other from a million different centers of energy and daring. Those ripples can build a current which can sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression. So may we live. Amen. And blessed be." I invite you to once more rise in body or in spirit. We're going to sing hymn number 1028. It's in the teal hymnal, Fire of Commitment. Friends, please say with me the extinguishing the chalice words found in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Friends, may we recognize the divine when it appears on our thresholds and gladly offer a place at our tables. May we look to join with all justice seekers offering welcome, hospitality, and solidarity. Liberation is not the freedom of a few, but the joyful realization of possibility for all. Blessed be, and amen.
Thank you.